Question, how would you defend HSAs?
What I would say is that I have employees in my practice that I gave them a choice. I was at a big multi-specialty clinic and the insurance cost $12,000. I was an owner, so I paid $10,000 of it and the employees paid $2,000. But when they came to work for me, I gave them a choice because the clinic will always keep you if you work there. But I went out on my own and I said, you can come with me. I'll give you a $2,000 raise, a $1,500 deductible, and I won't make you pay any premiums. So they saved the $2,000 in premiums. They got $2,000 more in salary. They're $4,000 ahead, but I came out $8,000 ahead. They got $4,000 and I got $4,000. All of those things exist out there, and my employees are not wealthy people. You know, they're not making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. They're not rich people. But they made the choice to come with me, to do that. And I think economically they came out. They have to now be individually responsible to pay their $1,500 and to try to save in their health savings account. But I think at every economic level a health savings account works. But we've trained people the opposite way. We've trained people to want lower and lower deductibles and not to pay because it is a punishment. But the thing that is the advantage to the punishment of having to pay when you go is that the competition forces your prices down and your premiums are less. It's very easy to see how your premiums are less with a high deductible. But I think it works at everywhere along the socioeconomic ladder. I think the ideal thing is that health insurance should be more like term life insurance, but then when you're 20 years old, you might get a 20-year policy or a 30-year health insurance policy with a significant deductible. You pay almost every time you go to the doctor, you pay almost the whole price every time you go to the doctor. But the doctor's fees won't be set then. They'll be negotiated down, and that young person will pay a pittance compared to what they pay. Young people don't need to be paying $10,000 or $12,000 for their insurance. There should be a way for young people to have insurance very cheaply. The insurance companies know the statistics. Most people never end up using or meeting their deductibles on these things. It's like a 20-year-old probably has a 97% chance of reaching 30 without a significant health problem. It's not to say you shouldn't have insurance, but you should have insurance against the unexpected. Insurance originally, the concept of insurance is buying things that are of a very low expectation. Going to the OB next year, if you're a woman, should be maybe 100% expectation. You don't buy insurance against things that are going to happen. You buy insurance against things that you don't think will happen, like having cancer, like having a bad automobile accident. That's what you want your insurance against, and you want to pay for everything. And it's a hard argument because people are like, I don't want to pay for everything. But the answer would be lower premiums and lowering doctors' fees, hospital fees. Everything would become part of a marketplace if we paid more.
So you think it would be better if we got off of the employer-based risk pool in insurance and did more of an individual?
Yeah, but then I'm not sure exactly how we get to a pool. You want to be part of a pool. Maybe the pools would be belonging to, I don't want to say it because they aren't on the right side, AARP or something like that. Some kind of big group, except they're on the wrong side of this issue. But being part of a doctor's pool or a welder's pool or just any kind of pool. Maybe it's just a group that is a private group out there that you could buy into and be part of a pool. That's part of my problem. I'm in a small business and I'm not part of a pool. I only have myself and 2 or 3 employees. So that's a problem. But that is what you need, is you want to be part of a pool, and you want it more individual and less employer-based, because then you have portability. So when you lose your job, if you own it individually, it's still your policy. It goes everywhere with you. We got employer-based because in World War II, they set wage and price controls, and labor wanted more wages, but they wouldn't give it to them. So they said, we'll give you health insurance tied to your employment. The hard part is how you get away from that. I don't want to get rid of the deduction. People have said, let's just take away business's deduction. I'm not sure exactly how we get the transition, but part of the transition is health savings accounts, and that's a lot about what I talk about. Anybody else?
Well, my name's Frank Parker, and I want to thank you and your family for having the courage to step up to the moment. Jimmy Carter was the first president I ever voted. I learned a lot.
Thank you.
I'm a veteran, I'm a grandfather, I'm a grade, 9 hard work. I have great ill concerns for my grandchildren. I I do not want to be known as the generation that allowed tyranny to prevail. The question as far as healthcare, I'd like to ask, where do you stand on the antitrust laws concerning the insurance companies? Thanks.
The question was about antitrust laws and insurance companies. I think most of the time the antitrust laws have not done us a good service, whether they're applied or not applied. They tend to be used by one competitor against another competitor. One very big business sues another business. They use the antitrust laws to try to prevent them from getting a competitive advantage. So I don't know if there is an answer necessarily for insurance within the antitrust laws.
First president I ever voted for was Dwight David Eisenhower. So I've lived through the period before Medicare and after Medicare. I think you put your finger on the central problem, that is government, the bureaucracy, the control people have decided to put the control on costs. They're setting your rates, be it initially the Medicare program. They're setting everybody's rates. It's common sense to have HSAs. It's common sense to allow insurance portability. A lot of the details we've heard today are common sense. They're not going to fix the fundamental problem. How do we get the government totally out of health insurance and health care?
A good question. I think you have to first thing you need to do is change quite a few faces in Washington and in Frankfurt. But that's what this is about. I mean, think about it. There's a football game going on, and we've got over 100 people out here to listen to some, boring policy speak about healthcare. But we're doing it because we're worried about our country. I think people are out here because the debt is consuming our country, and here we have people in Washington just going to add another $800 billion program and blithely go on their way and say, everything will be okay. Your stimulus check is in the mail. Just go to the mall. I mean, that's their answer. Their economic plan is go to the mall. It'll be okay. I tell people sometimes it's sort of like the Romans gave us bread and circus to distract the mob from the problems of the Roman Empire. Now they give us cash for clunkers and stimulus checks. And go to the mall.
And that's both parties saying.
Yeah, sometimes. You're right.
Is it state law or federal law that's preventing us from buying insurance across state lines? And if it's state law, what do you propose that we do without sort of trampling on states' rights to make their own laws?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've been thinking more about it because I've gotten this question a couple times because I am a big believer in states' rights. Do we want the federal government telling states what to do? Probably not. But I do think that, for example, the Commerce Clause is abused. It allows the federal government to come in and do a lot of things they shouldn't be doing. But the one thing the Commerce Clause was intended to do was to protect free trade between the states. And so if there are state laws that say that you cannot sell insurance here that originates in Florida, then I think maybe the federal government or the Supreme Court should strike down laws like that as being against the Commerce Clause, which prevents free and open trade. So I think you could allow insurance to be sold, because see, sometimes they pass mandates. In '94, when they passed the law in Kentucky, you had to have pregnancy coverage in every insurance policy. So see, if they do that, and I'm a 75-year-old woman and I've had my children, I don't want pregnancy coverage anymore, shouldn't I be able to buy it from Florida where they don't force me to have pregnancy coverage? Or what if it's in vitro coverage?